1621, the year of popes and priests, Catholics and cardinals, and some cranberries. Hey guys, I'm Nick. Welcome to Dual History. And today on our channel we'll be starting a new segment called The Year of the Month. The basic concept of the Year of the Month is that we go on the internet and find a random number generator. Then we ask it to generate us a number from 1500 to 2014. Whatever number it gives us is also a year, and then we do a video on that year explaining the important events that happened during it. We'll be doing a video like this once every month, hence the name. If you haven't already guessed, the year for this month is 1621. A lot more than you think happened in 1621. For example, a new pope was chosen. On February 19th, 1621, a man by the name of Alessandro Ludovisi was chosen to be pope by his fellow cardinals. Thanks to the recent choosing of Pope Francis, many of us are already familiar with cardinals, even if you're not a Catholic. But which came first, Cardinal the Catholic or Cardinal the Bird? Your opinion may differ depending on your religion or your birdwatcher status. Don't worry, the truth isn't that complicated. See, when settlers came to the New World, America, they saw birds with striking red coats, something much different than the dull, drab, brown birds of Europe. At first, the settlers wanted just to call them red birds. Eventually, the settlers realized that there were many birds with many different red coats spread all around the continent. So what would they name the original bird? Well, the settlers' minds drifted back to drab Europe, where Catholic officials would don their red cloaks to choose the next pope. And so it came that the bird was named after the Catholic. But back to Alessandro. Well, when he took the Catholic throne, he chose a new name for himself, as was the tradition. From now on, there is no Alessandro. There's Gregory the 15th. By the time that Gregory came to power, he was but an old man of 67 years, and so was forced to rely on his much younger and energetic nephew. Poor Greg didn't get much time to enjoy the throne, though. He died only 2 years later at the age of 69. So you might ask yourself why I'm wasting your time if you're not Catholic, telling you all about the way that a pope is elected and the high-ranking Catholic officials. The decisions that a pope makes can affect decisions made by other prominent politicians of European countries and countries around the world. Let me give you an example. Let's say that there are two nations fighting, both of them Catholic, both of them very large and very powerful nations. Each leader of each nation sends a representative to meet with the Pope in Vatican City. Let's say that the Pope tells the first representative that your cause is not considered holy in the eyes of the Catholic Church. Yet he tells the other representative that your cause is indeed holy. Let's also assume that there are big, powerful Catholic nations around the world that haven't decided which side they're going to back on this war. Well, which side would you back? The one that your Pope has declared to be holy, or the one that has been declared unholy? In this way of thinking, you can see how the Pope's power can really extend far. He could decide the fate of wars. Although it usually isn't that drastic, the Pope has always had a voice in European politics, especially back hundreds of years ago. But what else exciting happened in 1621? Pilgrims! On March 16th, 1621, a Wampanoag Indian by the name of Samoset visited a group of newly arrived English colonists. Samoset had spent time in England before, and therefore knew the language, so he was able to easily communicate with the Pilgrims. Samoset would go on to teach the Pilgrims essential skills such as planting corn with old fish and catching eels, because catching eels is essential to life. Yeah. By October of 1621, the Pilgrims and Indians were regularly trading and interacting, with Samoset as the translator. This is where things start to sound a little bit differently from your Thanksgiving kindergarten play. It all depends on how you define the term Thanksgiving. If you consider it the first time that humans had a harvest festival, you're dead wrong. Thousands of years people have been having harvest festivals all around the world. If you consider it the first time that the English had been having a harvest festival like this, you're also wrong. Back in the home country, they'd been having a harvest festival around this same time for years as well. But there was something significant about this event. This is one of the precious few times in American history, technically it was English history, but we're going to call it American history, that the Native Americans and colonists sat down with each other and had a real good time. A really good time. This festival did not last just one evening. It was 3 days of feasts, games, and celebrations. So we've already talked about the people and the culture of Thanksgiving. Well, what about the food? Sadly, we don't have an exact description of the food served at that meal, but we do have a couple first-hand accounts to give us a bit of an idea. One of them, written by Edward Winslow, says that there was indeed turkey served at the celebration, and another says that a fowling expedition was sent out in preparation for the feast. However, the turkey that the colonists dined on would have been much, much different than the turkey that we eat today. In modern times, turkeys have been bred to be plump and juicy, plumper and juicier, and plumpest and juiciest. The turkeys that the Pilgrims ate, meanwhile, would have been gamey, thin, and bony. What we have today is pretty much a waddling ball o' meat. But there are many things that the Pilgrims ate in the original feast that are nowhere to be found on our modern dinner tables, such as the abundance of seafood. It makes sense, because the Pilgrims lived near the coast. There probably would have been fish, mussels, and other kinds of shellfish. But you can still wash down that salty something with some delicious cranberry sauce, right? Right? Well, the Pilgrims did originally bring sugar with them on the Mayflower. By this time, most of it probably would have been lost or depleted, and that means no sugary jellies or jams at the original feast, and none of that delicious cranberry sauce either. But there's no need to get in the dumps yet. There were still wild berries, and plenty of them. I mean, they were tart, small, and bitter, but they were all natural and locally grown. Well, somebody must have really liked all that delicious food, because generations to come would continue to celebrate this age-old tradition. Even as the colonists rebelled from their mother country of Great Britain and the Indians became viewed as savages, the tradition still stuck. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln unified the holiday so that all states would celebrate it on the same day all around the country. He did this in a proclamation, but we'll save his proclamations for another video. There you have it, 1621. Powerful men and birds wearing red coats, terrible food, and eels. We thank you for taking the time to look at this video. Leave a comment and tell us what you thought, and take a look at the other clips that we have. And remember, we can never forget our history.